also, this isn't a done deal. As you and I speak, this still can be overturned. So talk to us about that.
It can. And I am really actually extremely excited because I think that we are about to see, if we believers act in concert, I believe that we could see the strong right arm of a holy God show to the world and prove to the world his power and his strength. He is the Lord of heaven's armies. That is his name. And what we have now, the largest pro-Israel group in the United States called AIPAC, has made this their number one effort. They have never gone all out like they are now in defeating this Iran agreement. They're putting, I am told, about $40 million in resources aimed squarely at the 535 members of Congress. There are 100 senators and 435 members of Congress. Every one of your listeners, Jan, has 2 senators who represent them, and they have 1 member of the House of Representatives who will vote on this bill. So there are 3 people that every one of your listeners need to contact. And this is one thing that I am suggesting. I am suggesting that during the month of August, that is the recess. That is when the senators and the members of Congress are back in the district, back where your listeners live, and they hold town hall meetings. And I am suggesting that you immediately call your representative and your senator and tell them you want a personal face-to-face meeting. Download my column that's on Jan's site. I have the particulars of the Iranian agreement in that column. You can get more information from other individuals and ask the senator or ask the representative, how can you possibly support an agreement whereby the leaders of this country seek to annihilate the United States and annihilate Israel? How could this be good for American foreign policy? Because this will start World War III. And I think one of the ways to do that is get together people in your church, get together people in your Bible study. Ask your pastor, could we have a meeting here in our church? That's legal, by the way. Your senator and your representative can come to your church and speak to you, or go to a community center, or have them host them in your backyard. I've done that before. I've held town hall meetings. This is the most consequential treaty and foreign policy agreement ever in the history of the United States. When we have AIPAC that is committing $40 million and their membership toward defeating this agreement, they are targeting all members of Congress. I believe we can get no votes. I was on a call this morning with a Democrat member of Congress who has come out and said that he is against this agreement. He is one of the most far left, politically left members of Congress I know, but he read the agreement. He read it. He told me he was in a 3-hour fight, literally fight, with other Democrat members of Congress last night. They were for the agreement. He said to them, have you read it? And they said no, that they thought they were told that this was about politics, that this was about people who don't like Barack Obama. And this was about Barack Obama because he's black. And people oppose Barack Obama, and they oppose him being black, and they're trying to bring down the president's great foreign policy agreement. This is one of the most far left members of the House saying, that isn't what this is about. He said, I read the agreement. This makes Iran a nuclear power, and it puts us, not just our children and grandchildren, it puts our lives at risk from a nuclear-powered Iran that could reach the United States and kill millions of innocent civilians, but it could also take out Israel. We need to recognize this is the most important agreement in our lifetime. We need to defeat it. That's coming from a Democrat. Yeah. I actually believe, Jan, that if we get on our knees and if we cry out to Holy God, that he will hear from heaven and that we actually could see the United States defeat it. Now, you will hear people on TV say, well, if the United States defeats it, you'll still have Russia and China and all these other nations that will pull sanctions away, and Iran will still get a nuclear weapon. Not so. 60% of all banking transactions in the world go through the United States of America. If the United States of America puts sanctions back on Iran, that is crippling. Trust me, corporations around the world want to be able to continue to do business with the United States more than they want to do business with the Ayatollahs in Iran.
Thank you for clarifying that, but I want to ask you a question right here that I know is in the minds of the audience, because I hear from them, and it's related to what we're talking talking about, because we've got Republicans that aren't going to push back. So let me broaden that whole question. But why do the Republicans push back so little against the Barack Obama agenda? Is it money? Is it fear? And you sat in that Congress for 8 years. Why do you think it is?
The short answer on all of this is self-interest.
Okay.
And I don't mean to be condemning anyone when I say that, but I will tell you from my vantage point, what I saw is that members of the House and members of the Senate had different perches that they found very comfortable in Congress, whether it's holding a gavel as a committee chairman or a subcommittee chairman, or whether they just like being a member of Congress or being a member of the Senate, or they don't like to be criticized and they like to be patted on the back, or they like to get certain donations from certain groups, or they don't want to have a primary opponent. There's a lot of different reasons why people don't push back. But I will tell you, having been there, it is the rare bird that pushes back against their party leadership. And that's why right now, with so much at stake, with the survival of the Jewish state of Israel and with the survival of America, quite frankly,
Absolutely.
in the crosshairs, this is our time to recognize we aren't living in ordinary times. We are not living in ordinary days. And so we have got to stand up now and demand of our House of Representatives and our senators that they listen to us. And again, I would recommend let everyone you know what the truth is about what this Iran agreement means for Israel and America. And I'm not trying to just brag about my own article, but this article that Jan has posted gives you in very simple form the simple parameters of what is incomprehensible about no sane person could get behind this agreement. This agreement ensures that the United States will be under attack and Israel will be under attack by the Ayatollah in Iran.
Okay, well said, Michelle. I asked a blunt question. You gave me a very, very good answer. I appreciate that. The audience appreciates it as well. Folks, there is, without a doubt, a biblical take on all of this, and that would take another couple of hours. But just some things that I have seen as I peruse everything here now for many weeks. It certainly expands the Russian-Iranian cooperation, and that is outlined in Ezekiel 38:39. They're going to be strong partners as they come against Israel at some time. We do not know when that will happen. Could be tomorrow, could be 10 years, could be longer. It's a greater fulfillment, as Michelle has brilliantly said, the isolation of Israel, Zechariah 12:3. In her isolation, she will be forced to call out to God. And it honestly, if this goes through, I think it renders America inconsequential as an end-time player, and it's why we don't see America playing into the last days. And we'll have some other things to talk about as it concerns things from a biblical perspective. Obviously, if this goes through, the word perilous times takes on new meaning. You've got the rogue renegade nation of Iran with ICBMs, with nuclear weapons attached to them, aimed at every free city, every free country in the world. So that is perilous times. And I like to say that the world took a huge leap back on July 14th, again ratified by the UN Security Council July 20th, towards a nuclear apocalypse, the days of the Antichrist and the time of Jacob's trouble.